Well, this morning we are kicking off our month-long look at some of Central Georgia's treasured historic homes. You see a lot of brick homes and a lot of stucco.
Yeah, but what about limestone? That can stand out, right? Well, Suzanne Lawler takes you inside a historic home that's as quirky inside as it is beautiful outside.
There was something about the stone I think was just kind of enamored me.
A home has stories, literally and figuratively. The tale of this house starts outside.
You know, it's kind of neat seeing what your house looked like 100 years ago.
Something really cool happened about 10 years ago. Ed was out on his front lawn. Guy comes jogging past and he said, "I always knew there was something about your house, and now I know what it is. I have an article with your house in it that dates back to 1926.
Subdued color tones of buff and gray produces walls which appear to have been aged and toned by the storms and sunshine of years.
Well, the Indiana Limestone Company sure made the stone sound alluring, and it's held up. This year, 264 Riverdale turns 100 years old. Ed moved here in 1996, and he's done a good bit of research on his safe haven.
This is only one of 4 houses, and probably the first house that was built with limestone here in Macon. It's just kind of a neat thing. A lot of people in the neighborhood or in Macon, they'll call this the castle.
This is a guy with a great sense of humor. He embraced the castle with this tall fella. Even the table has a King Arthur feel. But for a lot of the home, he stayed true to its historical roots.
So all these 9 pieces were shoved up in the garage, and I'm like, what in the world? And we put it back in here, I'm like, I can't believe anybody would take this out. These were the French doors that were between the living room and the dining room.
You get a sense of a rustic past. But make no mistake, this guy with a side hustle has quirky taste.
Doctor by day, musician by night, but I'm not ready to quit my day job quite yet.
Music is always around, whether it's on the walls or sitting in the living room for an impromptu jam session. Ed plays in over a dozen bands when he's not at the Children's Hospital. The drums belong to his late brother.
I called the company, to say, hey, how do you polish these cymbals? They're like, hey, if you've got those vintage cymbals, I wouldn't touch them. Leave them just how they are. So when I was in high school, I started collecting instruments, and I got enamored by these silver-plated horns. Little did I know they take a lot of work to keep polished. So.
The guy who put himself through the University of Georgia by cutting lawns trims every one of these boxwoods himself in the formal garden. With all of these details, you can see Ed has a love affair with the land he's inhabited for 27 years.
I've had people knock on the door wanting to know if I'm selling my house.
For now, not a chance. Suzanne Lawler, 13 WMAZ News.
That's pretty cool to see all that history in that home.
I know, I love it too, but if they ever does decide to sell it, I have a feeling it would go pretty quick.
Oh yeah, well you might think Dr. Clark looks familiar. He's spearheaded the Arts and Jazz on Riverdale Festival for years.
Now, Clark put his mark on the house that could live on if he ever does decide to sell. Up in the finished attic, he put the family crest on a piece of stained glass. Very cool.
Wow.